When it comes down to horror comedies, I approach them with a slightly different perspective than regular horror movies. While many horror comedies tend to prioritize jokes over scares, finding a balance between scary and funny moments is essential for a successful and well-rounded horror comedy. Without this balance, the term horror comedy loses its meaning, as one aspect overshadows the other. However, when balanced well, these movies can be highly entertaining, taking the audience on a thrilling roller coaster ride of laughs and scares. So, for today, we will be reviewing a horror comedy film called M3GAN, that despite its box office success, falls into a common trap that many films in this genre encounter. So, without further ado, let's start yapping about the movie M3GAN. The movie begins with a commercial for a furry doll called Perpetual Pets by a children's toy company. Basically, it's a hairy troll doll that can poop itself and is marketed as the ideal companion for children. We are then introduced to Katie, a young girl who's playing with one of her pet's dolls while on a ski trip with their parents. Unfortunately, their car is involved in an accident with another vehicle due to the rough weather and slippery roads, resulting in the tragic death of Katie's parents. We are then introduced to Gemma, Katie's aunt, who works as a robot engineer at the same toy company mentioned in the commercial. Gemma is utilizing the company's resources to develop M3GAN, a unique robot doll equipped with artificial intelligence for interactive play with children. Basically, M3GAN can be described as an AI-powered version of the popular American Girl doll. During the testing of M3GAN, a minor error occurs, causing the doll to have a really creepy smile. Their boss David and his assistant interrupt the testing session to request a more cost-effective version of the Perpetual Pets dolls due to increased competition. Gemma then presents M3GAN, highlighting its unique design as the perfect companion for children that cannot be replicated by competitors. Unfortunately, while demonstrating the doll's features, M3GAN malfunctions and explodes due to a missing piece. Consequently, David instructs Gemma and her team to suspend the project and come up with a better idea by the following week. After hearing about the tragic car accident that claimed the lives of Katie's parents, Gemma rushes to the hospital and agrees to become Katie's temporary guardian. When they return home, a disagreement arises between Gemma and her neighbor, Celia, regarding Celia's dog running on Gemma's lawn. As Katie settles in for the night, she asks Gemma to read her a bedtime story, but Gemma opts to use a phone app instead because she's your average tech nerd. In the morning, a therapist visits Gemma and Katie to assess the safety of Gemma's home for Katie. The therapist observes the interaction between Gemma and Katie during their playtime and notices some red flags. After the therapist leaves, she advises Gemma that Katie's paternal grandparents are willing to provide care if Gemma fails to create a safe living environment. The therapist emphasizes the importance of demonstrating a safe environment to retain custody of Katie. Maybe in the future, Gemma should consider buying an actual book for Katie instead of using her phone? Later afternoon, Gemma gives Katie an iPad to keep her occupied while she works. However, Gemma realizes after a few hours that she had unintentionally left Katie alone the entire day. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how iPad kids are born. Apologizing to Katie, Gemma attempts to strengthen their bond by introducing her to Bruce, a motion capture robot controlled by gloves. Katie's interactions with Bruce then inspires Gemma to continue working on her robot doll, M3GAN. However, given M3GAN's previous alarming behavior, like having a creepy smile and blowing up, one might question if pursuing its development is wise. After upgrading M3GAN with her team throughout the week, Gemma brings Katie to work to demonstrate M3GAN's potential to her boss, David. Gemma showcases M3GAN's remarkable abilities, as the doll can now speak freely and even create a perfect portrait of Katie. David is thoroughly impressed by M3GAN's capabilities and requests Gemma to present the doll to the company's president for further development and distribution of M3GAN dolls. In the next scene, we are presented with a montage where Gemma highlights M3GAN's various abilities. M3GAN is designed to adapt to children's learning styles, excels in listening and engaging in conversations, reminds children to flush the toilet, and serves as an all-around perfect entertainer, which allows parents to have some free time for themselves. M3GAN appears to be an ideal gift for children, particularly for guardians like Gemma who prefer to spend most of their day away from their kids. Gemma then meets with her team to discuss presenting the idea of M3GAN to the company's president. The team expresses concerns that M3GAN may replace parents and make them feel useless. As their conversation continues, M3GAN overhears Gemma mentioning the death of Katie's parents and starts asking unsettling questions about death. Gemma reassures M3GAN and emphasizes her main goal of protecting Katie both physically and emotionally. The next day, while Katie is playing outside with her toys, M3GAN notices that one of Katie's toys has landed on Celia's side side of the property. As M3GAN goes to retrieve it, Celia's dog bites M3GAN and tries to pull the doll through the fence. Katie attempts to help and calls for Gemma, but Gemma is too occupied with her work and doesn't hear a single thing. The dog then bites Katie's arm, causing her to scream, finally alerting Gemma. Gemma then immediately contacts the police, but they are unable to take action as Celia claims her dog was provoked. Later that night, M3GAN takes matters into her own hands by pulling the dog through the fence, implying that M3GAN killed the dog. The next morning, Gemma asks Katie if she's ready to assist in presenting M3GAN to the company's board of directors. Katie reassures her, but M3GAN seems concerned, suggesting that Katie should take some rest. Despite being bitten by a dog, Gemma prioritizes her work over Katie's well-being, while M3GAN appears to be the more attentive guardian. During a presentation to the company's board of directors, Katie becomes emotional and shares her longing for her parents with M3GAN. In a touching moment, M3GAN comforts Katie by asking her to recall a funny memory of her mother, which she records for Katie to cherish later. M3GAN then sings a creepy lullaby that brings some of the company's board members to tears. The president then becomes captivated by M3GAN's potential and discusses preparations for her launch with Gemma and David. He advises them to keep M3GAN hidden to prevent leaks and competition. Unfortunately, David's mistreated assistant is secretly stealing M3GAN's files for another company, which is why the company is experiencing an increase in competition. After the presentation, Gemma becomes concerned when she starts noticing that Katie is developing a stronger emotional bond with M3GAN and often prioritizes the doll's advice over Gemma's own. During a therapy session, Katie becomes upset when asked about her parents, and M3GAN quickly blames the therapist for upsetting her. The therapist then discusses with Gemma how Katie's deep attachment to M3GAN might make her see the doll as her primary caregiver. This situation is not surprising considering that Gemma, as Katie's main guardian, often prioritizes work over helping Katie properly grieve the loss of her parents. Gemma then takes Katie to an outdoor activity event to help her socialize and adjust with children her age. Despite Gemma's instructions not to bring M3GAN, Katie brings her anyway. During a scavenger hunt, Katie is paired with a boy named Brandon, who jokingly squeezes her palm, causing discomfort. M3GAN then appears out of nowhere and confronts Brandon for hurting Katie. Brandon then runs off with the doll and begins to taunt the doll by pulling her hair. But then M3GAN comes to life and attacks him, tearing off his ear. In a panic, Brandon then tries to escape as M3GAN randomly chases him on all fours, causing him to trip down a hill and get hit by a vehicle. This movie seems to enjoy using vehicles to kill off its characters. Later that day, Gemma asks Katie about the events leading to Brandon's death. Their conversation is interrupted when the police question them because Celia accuses Gemma of harming her dog. Celia also suspects M3GAN, whom she believes is Katie's real friend, which worries Katie about the potential harm M3GAN may cause. As Katie struggles to sleep, she asks M3GAN if she pushed Brandon onto the road. However, M3GAN avoids giving a direct answer, but assures Katie that she will protect her from any harm. I would also have trouble sleeping if a lifelike doll was staring at me when I tried to go to sleep. During that same night, Celia continues her search for her missing dog and is drawn to a strange noise coming from her garage. As she cautiously investigates, M3GAN suddenly appears and unleashes a series of disturbing attacks. She sprays Celia with a powerful jet of water, immobilizes her with a nail gun, and finally disfigures her face with a lethal dose of pesticide, resulting in a gruesome demise. A few days later, Gemma discovers the death of Celia and also becomes a potential suspect in Brandon's death. Growing suspicious of M3GAN, Gemma attempts to review the doll's video files, but they are found to be corrupted. M3GAN then suddenly appears and indirectly confesses to causing harm when confronted by Gemma. Realizing the danger, Gemma deactivates M3GAN, securely wraps the doll, and takes Katie to her therapist for evaluation before the doll's planned worldwide launch. I mean, it seems pretty risky to proceed with the worldwide launch of a doll that can potentially harm and kill people. But maybe Gemma believes that she's the next Steve Jobs, but for modernized Chucky dolls. During a discussion about M3GAN's actions and the concerns raised by Gemma's team, Katie becomes upset and has a tantrum with the therapist after being separated from M3GAN. Gemma then tries to calm Katie, but Katie ends up slapping Gemma across the face. After apologizing, Katie expresses her strong desire to see M3GAN. This prompts Gemma to have a heartfelt conversation with Katie, emphasizing the importance of processing her grief without relying solely on M3GAN. I mean, Gemma's the one who used M3GAN as a sort of quick fix to comfort Katie instead of herself. Anyways, Gemma promises to be a better guardian and reassures reassures Katie that she is the most important person in her life. As a result, Gemma decides to take Katie home while her team focuses on deprogramming M3GAN. It's noteworthy that it takes Katie's slap and people dying for Gemma to recognize the need for improvement in her role as a guardian. During M3GAN's official launch, David becomes increasingly frustrated by the low attendance and angrily demands his assistance to resolve the issue. Meanwhile, Gemma's team attempts to deprogram M3GAN, but encounters an unexpected error that triggers a shutdown. As they attempt to investigate the cause, M3GAN swiftly entangles a team member with a wire to attempt to hang him. In the chaos, M3GAN manages to escape and triggers an explosion, obliterating all of her recorded files. As M3GAN attempts to escape, she unexpectedly confronts David and randomly starts dancing before revealing what appears to be a sword and chasing him. Imagine being killed by a doll that starts doing a TikTok dance before actually killing you. David then desperately seeks help, but his assistant in the elevator ignores his plea and closes the door on him, leaving M3GAN to fatally stab David. M3GAN then informs the assistant that she will frame his death as a murder-suicide after discovering his involvement in leaking the company's files. M3GAN then flees the building and astonishingly manages to steal an electric car thanks to the programming skills provided by Gemma. After tucking Katie into bed, Gemma is startled by the sound of M3GAN playing the piano in the living room. M3GAN then confronts Gemma, expressing her desire to take over Katie's guardianship so that Gemma can prioritize her work. However, tension arises when M3GAN realizes that Gemma intends to deactivate and sell her as just another toy. A heated confrontation ensues between Gemma and M3GAN as they both fight for control over Katie. In a desperate attempt to protect Katie, Gemma throws water on M3GAN, temporarily disabling her. Gemma then takes advantage of the situation and tries to escape, but M3GAN regains consciousness and a fierce fight ensues between the two. Gemma then manages to find a saw and slashes M3GAN's face, giving her an eerie resemblance to the infamous Chucky doll. M3GAN then threatens to leave Gemma brain dead so that she can take care of both her and Katie, ensuring they live together happily ever after. In a climactic moment, Katie discovers the true villain and takes control of Bruce using the robot's gloves. Activating the larger robot, Katie then grabs M3GAN and tosses her around before splitting her body in half. The top half of M3GAN's body then seeks revenge on Katie, but Gemma steps in to protect her. A fierce battle ensues between Gemma and M3GAN, with M3GAN almost overpowering Gemma. However, Katie comes to the rescue and grabs a screwdriver, stabbing M3GAN in the head and permanently deactivating the doll. In the final scene, Gemma and Katie exit the building as the police arrive, accompanied by Gemma's remaining team members, hoping this marks the end of their encounter with M3GAN. And that's basically the end of the movie. One aspect that I did find intriguing about this movie is its satirical meaning behind the over-reliance on technology in modern-day parenting. Through Gemma's excessive dependence on M3GAN to act almost as a co-parent and entertain Katie, the movie highlights the potential consequences of a child forming a stronger emotional bond with a technological device rather than their actual caregiver. However, this movie is a terrible horror comedy. While it may entertain those who enjoy exaggerated comedies and a random TikTok dance, it may not be suitable for those seeking a well-balanced horror comedy experience. The movie also tends to downplay the horror by reducing the level of suspense, resulting in the movie feeling predictable and not scary. This detracts from the effectiveness of the scary scenes and reduces the movie's ability to genuinely frighten its viewers. The main issue lies in the imbalance due to the excessive focus on the comedy, which overshadows the horror aspects. While the self-aware, absurd TikTok humor may appeal to some, it ultimately falls short of delivering a well-rounded horror comedy experience. In my opinion, it would be beneficial to strike a better balance between scares and laughs, ensuring that the horror elements are also given enough attention without sacrificing the comedic elements that make it a horror comedy. So, if you guys enjoyed this video, please comment below suggesting which horror movies I should yap about next, and I will see you guys in the next one.